All right, hello and welcome to the second part of the 27th episode of the Unnamed Political Podcast, where we're going to be discussing the potential for a brokered convention, specifically in the Republican primaries. Jack, would you care to explain to the audience what a brokered convention is?
Well, a brokered convention in both parties happens when neither candidate can get the majority of the delegates.
Yes.
And this has happened not that often. It doesn't happen that often at all. I think the last time it happened, when I was looking it up, it was 1932, when Franklin D. Roosevelt, was in a brokered convention. He came out strong, and he later won the election. So it's not that often, but it still happens.
Another election where it was not quite a brokered convention, but was similar to that, was when it's kind of when there's no clear majority,
right,
and they kind of need to get support from other people. One of the situations that happened was in the 1952 Republican presidential primary race, where then General Eisenhower convinced then Governor of California, or former governor, I'm not sure, Earl Warren, to kind of throw his support behind him, which helped him gain delegates. And so Trump's nomination is not necessarily in the bag at this point.
No.
As former Utah Governor Michael Leavitt has said, he's run the numbers, and it's not just him, it's quite a few sources, and it's starting to look like the last great hope for the establishment that they can, at the convention, can hopefully convince groups of people to start to back whoever they kind of pick. Now, and who do you think the establishment will kind of rally behind at this point?
Well, I think when we're talking about all the candidates, most of the candidates are pretty solid on the same issues. Like, they both kind of have the same opinions, right? And it just comes down to the person that's running.
The establishment, you mean?
Right, or for any candidate at all running in the
Trump?
Republican race. Well, yeah, but he stands out from everyone else. But there's a lot of guys that you can draw parallels between, not just Trump. Right?
No,
like
I say Trump, there is no establishment.
Right, but in terms of establishment in particular, you can definitely draw parallels between the candidates, and it really just comes down to what you think of the person. And I think when it eventually gets to Trump and one or maybe two other candidates, many of the people are going to lean towards those two candidates because overall, all the guys against Trump, the establishment guys have more of a percentage than Trump.
That's the problem. This is one of the things that I found.
And they're going to eventually wait out, and there's only going to be one or two, and then they'll have a clear majority over Trump. That's what I'm predicting.
That's what I think, but yeah, and this is where the problem, which I think Scott Walker was really trying to do at first when he dropped out very early in the race. He said, we need people to kind of figure out who we think is the best, most electable person.
That's a good point.
Who do you think that most electable person is?
This is going to sound really biased, but I really like Jeb Bush.
I
think he's the most qualified person to run out of all of them.
I think by far...
He has the best record. He has the best record, and he seems... I don't know if this is wrong, but he kind of seems very intelligent.
Oh yeah, I think so. People always... At least according to many people I spoke to, he was always considered the smart brother. I remember that was a Robin Williams joke. He was complaining about the Bush family. This is a family with a smart brother named Jeb.
Yeah.
But he has shown he was an effective governor. I also think another very smart candidate who I think would be a definite asset, like we said, is John Kasich.
Definitely.
Although, unfortunately, I don't think he has the funds to carry him any further. No. So I think that he would be an extremely smart vice presidential nominee for anybody over this. However, they are currently looking at the governor of South Carolina, whose name is now escaping me, but she gave the Republican rebuttal.
Nikki something.
Yes, and she's
Nikki Haley.
Yes, Nikki Haley.
Got it.
And she's being looked at as a potential as well. But both of them, good establishment candidates. Nikki Haley, she actually criticized Trump in her rebuttal, which was that was very impressive.
Nikki Haley, I think, would be a good VP.
I think both of them have just quite a bit. I mean, she is Indian American and a woman, so
very diverse.
They can finally, hopefully, for once, put to rest the whole reputation of the old white people party. I mean, look at that. Look at the Democrats. How many of the Democratic presidential candidates or potential presidential candidates, how many of them speak Spanish? How many of them are minorities?
Zero.
How many of them are under 60?
Zero.
Yeah.
I gotta say, when I was watching this, kind of random, but in the Republican debate, we were talking about speaking Spanish.
Yeah,
I didn't know Ted Cruz spoke Spanish.
That also hurt
cool.
Rubio.
Like
that was very impressive. Marco Rubio accused Ted Cruz of not speaking Spanish, and he immediately shot back at him. I think this is really kind of going to what we're seeing as biases in the media. They're portraying kind of I don't want to go on a whole conspiracy. Oh, it's the lamestream media.
No.
But there's kind of this whole perception that Republicans, they're just a bunch of old white men who hate minorities. Mm-hmm. But I mean, we're looking at this, we'll be touching this in a later topic, the Supreme Court, but debatably the most conservative member of the Supreme Court is African American. On the Republican side, until recently, you had a woman running. You currently still have an African-American man running. Republicans, the first Latino to win the Iowa caucus, was a Republican.
Right.
But unfortunately, the only focus I've really seen is, but we had the first woman as well. We're seeing Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, Jeb Bush, all of them fluent Spanish speakers.
Yeah.
At least as far, I'm not entirely sure on Ted Cruz.
Yeah, he kind of sounded a little jumbled, but I'm pretty sure.
Well, I think he was under pressure at the time.
And his dad's Cuban too. So.
Yeah, so I think that I don't know.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I'll say
yeah, I would say yes. But so far, this is turning into kind of a very interesting. And most definitely, this is a historic presidential race.
Definitely.
All right. Moving on to our next topic, Supreme Court Justice Scalia and his unfortunate passing, and what this means for the future of the Supreme Court, and I guess technically the nation as a whole. We may have to film this a little bit later, so we may look quite a bit different in the next episode, but it will still be part of the 27th episode, unless we change our minds. Thank you. I'm Clark Wahlberger.
And I'm Jack Orvath.
See you next time.